It's funny. A lot of times there'll be successes, but I won't hear about them until I work with that person again. It's kind of such a matter of fact thing that I often don't hear about them. Let me think here for a moment. Um, this one's just fresh in my mind. This couple lives in a really neat co-housing neighborhood. Co-housing is a kind of more community-oriented housing, and they're moving from one home in the co-housing to another. And so I did some work for them, and they were just fascinated because they didn't want to sell their first home. They wanted to rent it. And I met with them yesterday, and they said, yes, the woman who you said would be the decision maker about the rental, that was the person who rented it. So they were quite impressed.
Well, you're thinking, I have another question for you here. So you come in, you do some work on a house. Is there a timeline as to how quickly those results are going to show up, or is that a very variable sort of thing?
Well, as we know, there's free will, and quantum physics would say there's many different timelines we can go down. What I often do, because of course the owners or the realtor ask that, I can see windows when it's much more likely to sell. And usually there's at least some increased activity right away. A lot of times I get called in like right before an open house or something, and there'll be a lot more people. Maybe they usually have 10 at open house, and they'll have 40 or 50 that day. So it's just I don't always know why, but I do often see that, oh yes, it's going to sell after Labor Day, or oh, it looks like early November is a good time. When it's more likely to sell.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, do you end up doing more work on the people or on the house, or?
Well, often both, and sometimes on the realtor as well. It's a big deal to move. One thing I notice, our first chakra, base of our spine, is the security-oriented part of ourselves. And we could say many, many things about all the energy centers, but it's the place where we deal with our physical needs, food, clothing, shelter. So I almost always notice when people are moving and selling a house, the first chakra is just on fire. It's just very, very active. A lot of all the fears of change come up when we move. So yes, there is often quite a bit of work with the people, and I think that's another reason that I tend to, once people have used me, they would tend to use me again. A lot of those people would then use me for individual sessions just on their life and their goals. I do a lot of work with individuals, helping them achieve goals, helping them remove subconscious blocks to having goals. So, a lot of people are very fascinated by that work, and I've practiced that work in my own life. I do a class where we meditate on 3 goals for a month, and they could be large or small. So back in March, I don't remember all 3 of my goals. I only remember the 2 that happened, and they happened in such dramatic fashion. One goal was to do more house clearings. So I did this meditation that I teach on that goal. And after a couple of weeks, I got an invitation. A friend of mine who's a realtor was having some American Indians come and bless a mansion by Cheeseman Park, a $6 million mansion that he's selling. And I thought, it'd be interesting to go see how the Arapaho Indians do their version of house clearing and house blessing. So I went, and it was kind of a big society event. The mayor was there, and several people were there from the newspaper. I talked to a couple of people there. One happened to be a real estate editor for the Denver Post, and she was fascinated with what I do and decided to do an article on me. So, and now they are getting more multimedia, so they did a video as well. And article and the video came out. They say that not that many people read the paper, but I would beg to differ. That happened late March, and I've done about 60 house clearings. And, you know, it's not the only thing I do, but I've done about 60 house clearings as a result of that article. And also have done, you know, I'm doing your show now. I've done some other national and international radio. I've been in the Los Angeles Times and some other